In this video, we will listen to the story of Sir Walt Disney. His life is inspiring, and his journey has many interesting events. This story will help you improve your English. We have also given the meanings of some difficult words to help with your vocabulary. Welcome to Blue Raven Tales, where we learn English through fun and engaging stories. Walt Disney, the man who dreamed beyond the stars, Part 1. Once upon a time, in a small house in Chicago, a boy was born who would change the world with his imagination. His name was Walter Elias Disney, but everyone called him Walt. His journey was full of adventure, hard work, and a little bit of magic. A childhood of dreams. Walt Disney was born on December 5, 1901. He had 4 siblings, and life was not always easy. His father, Elias Disney, was strict and believed in hard work. The family moved to a farm in Marceline, Missouri, when Walt was a little boy. Life on the farm was peaceful, and it was here that Walt first discovered his love for drawing. He would spend hours sketching, drawing quickly, the animals around him. His first drawing was of a horse, and his neighbors loved it so much that they bought it. Even though life was tough, Walt never stopped dreaming. He loved reading books about adventures and fairy tales. One day, he saw a circus coming to town. The bright colors, lively music, and the performers amazed him. This was the first time he felt the joy of entertainment, something that brings pleasure or fun. The first steps into art. When Walt was 10, his family moved to Kansas City. His father started a newspaper delivery business, and Walt had to wake up early every morning to help. It was tiring, but Walt still found time to practice drawing. He even took art classes in the evening. One day, he found a book about animation, making pictures move, in the library. He was fascinated, very interested, and decided that he wanted to create moving pictures. He started experimenting with drawings and a simple camera. He knew that one day, he would make something amazing, a young man with big dreams. As he grew older, Walt wanted to become an artist. At 16, he joined the Red Cross as an ambulance driver during World War I. He was too young to fight, but he still wanted to help. Instead of fighting, he drove soldiers to hospitals. He even decorated his ambulance with cartoons. After the war, he returned home and got a job at an art studio. This was where he met his best friend, Ub Iwerks. Together, they created advertisements, notices to sell things, using animation. However, Walt wanted more than just drawing ads. He wanted to tell stories. The first studio and a big failure. In 1920, Walt and Ub started their own animation studio called Laugh-O-Gram. They created short cartoons, and people loved them. But running a business was difficult. Walt had no money to pay his artists, and soon the studio went bankrupt, having no money to continue. It was a huge failure, but Walt did not give up. He believed that every failure was a lesson. With just $40 in his pocket, he took a train to Hollywood, the land of movies. Hollywood and the birth of Mickey Mouse. Walt arrived in Hollywood with big dreams but little money. He lived with his uncle and worked hard to find a job. After some time, he and his brother, Roy, started their own small studio. They made a character named Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. The cartoons became popular, and Walt thought his troubles were over. But then, something terrible happened. The company that distributed sent out his cartoon stole Oswald and took most of his artists. Walt was heartbroken but refused to give up. On his train ride home, he started sketching a new character, a little mouse with big ears and a cheerful smile. This mouse would become Mickey Mouse. A new beginning. Walt and Ub worked day and night to bring Mickey Mouse to life. In 1928, they released a cartoon called Steamboat Willie. It was the first cartoon with synchronized, happening at the same time sound, and it was a huge success. People all over America fell in love with Mickey Mouse. Walt's dream was finally coming true, but this was only the beginning of his adventure. Success, struggles, and new dreams. With Mickey Mouse's success, Walt Disney became famous. People loved his cartoons, and he knew he had found something special. But Walt was not someone who stopped at success. He always wanted to do something new, something bigger. After Mickey, Walt introduced new characters like Donald Duck, Goofy, and Pluto. But he had an even greater dream. He wanted to make a full-length animated movie. People told him it was impossible. Who would watch a cartoon for more than an hour? They said. They even called his idea Disney's folly, a foolish idea. But Walt didn't listen to the doubters. He spent years working on his first animated movie, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. He poured all his time, energy, and money into it. His studio was at risk of going bankrupt, but he kept going. Finally, in 1937, the movie was released. And what happened? It was a huge success. People loved it, and it made history as the first full-length animated feature. Walt Disney had done what others thought was impossible, building a kingdom. With the success of Snow White, Walt Disney Studios grew. They created more classic films like Pinocchio, Fantasia, Dumbo, and Bambi. Each movie pushed the limits of animation, making drawings move. But success also brought problems. During World War II, the studio struggled. Many animators left for the war, and the government took control of some of Walt's work. The studio lost money, and it was a difficult time. But Walt never lost hope. He believed that tough times were just part of the journey. When the war ended, Disney Studios bounced back. They made new classics like Cinderella, Alice in Wonderland, and Peter Pan. Walt also started experimenting with live action, real actors instead of cartoons, movies like Treasure Island and 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. But Walt had a bigger dream, something never seen before. He wanted to create a place where children and adults could escape into a world of imagination. He wanted to build a theme park, the dream of Disneyland. Most people laughed at Walt's idea. They said, theme parks are dirty and boring. Nobody will go to a park with fairy tales. But Walt had a different vision. He wanted Disneyland to be clean, magical, and full of joy. To make his dream come true, he took risks. He borrowed money, sold his house, and even convinced TV companies to invest in his park. Finally, on July 17, 1955, Disneyland opened in California. But the opening day was a disaster. There were too many people. Rides broke down, and the temperature was extremely hot. News reporters called it Black Sunday and said the park would fail. But Walt didn't give up. He worked day and night to fix the problems, and soon, Disneyland became a magical place loved by millions. It was the beginning of something much bigger. A bigger dream, Disney World. After Disneyland's success, Walt dreamed even bigger. He wanted to create another park, but this time, even larger. He chose Florida as a location. Sadly, Walt did not live to see his biggest dream come true. In 1966, he was diagnosed with lung cancer. He passed away on December 15, 1966, just a few weeks after his 65th birthday. It was a heartbreaking moment. People around the world mourned, felt deep sadness. But Walt's brother, Roy Disney, decided to complete Walt's final dream. In 1971, Walt Disney World opened in Florida. It was a tribute to the man who believed in magic and never gave up. The legacy of Walt Disney. Even though Walt Disney is no longer with us, his dreams live on. Today, Disney is one of the biggest entertainment companies in the world. His movies, theme parks, and characters continue to inspire millions. Walt once said, "All our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them." His life proved that with imagination, hard work, and determination, anything is possible. His story is not just about cartoons or theme parks. It is about believing in your dreams, even when the world tells you they are impossible. And that is why Walt Disney's magic will never fade.